Jay never planned to crash on an alien planet. He was on a solo cargo mission, passing through a quiet sector near the edge of the galaxy. It was supposed to be a smooth ride, just a delivery run with no problems. But everything changed when a strange blue light hit his ship. The controls stopped working. His ship shook like a toy in a storm. Sparks flew from the dashboard, and smoke filled the cockpit. Before he could even send a distress signal, the ship was falling, fast and wild. Jay crashed into a thick alien jungle. Trees exploded on impact. Metal twisted and tore apart. Last thing he saw before blacking out was a dark red sky and giant, glowing trees above him. When he woke up, pain shot through his body. His leg was bleeding, his head spinning, and his suit was torn. He pulled himself out of the wreckage, crawling over broken wires and burning panels. Strange sounds echoed from the jungle, deep growls, rustling leaves and distant screams. Jay forced himself to stand. Leaning on a broken piece of metal like a crutch, he looked around, trying to find water, shelter, or maybe even another life form. But then, the forest grew quiet, too quiet. He turned around and froze. Two giant figures stepped out from the shadows. Both were at least 8 feet tall, with thick muscles, glowing eyes, and wild hair. Their skin was a strange mix of scales and fur, like something between a beast and a warrior. One had dark blue skin and sharp tusks. The other had green skin and glowing tattoos. They didn't look like friends. Their eyes locked on Jay and then on each other. Without a word, they roared and charged at each other. The ground shook under their feet as they clashed like titans. Jay stumbled back, watching in horror. They weren't fighting to kill him. They were fighting over him. Blades flashed, claws tore through armor, roars filled the air. One of them shouted something in a language he didn't understand, but the meaning felt clear. "He's mine." Jay tried to run, but his injured leg gave out. He fell to the ground just as one of them tackled the other into a tree. The tree snapped in half with the force of the impact. Jay crawled away, heart racing, not knowing where to go. Then everything went black again. When Jay opened his eyes, he was no longer in the jungle. He was inside a large tent or cave, glowing with soft blue lights. Alien symbols moved along the walls, like they were alive, and he was inside a cage made of bone and strange metal. His wounds were bandaged, and his suit was repaired, but his heart raced as he realized he was still a prisoner. Then she entered. It was one of the Beastwomen, the one with green skin and glowing tattoos. Her armor was scratched and bloody, but she stood tall and proud. She looked at Jay, not like a hunter, but like something else. Something deeper, maybe even softer, hidden behind the beast. "My name is Cora," she said in broken English. "You are mine now." Jay's mouth went dry. "What do you mean?" "Where's the other one?" he asked. Cora's eyes narrowed. "Zelka is gone. I won. You live because of me." Jay didn't believe it. He remembered the blue-skinned one, Zelka. She fought just as hard, maybe harder, and something in Cora's voice said the battle wasn't over. Days passed. Jay learned that Cora was a warrior from a powerful tribe. She told him he was special, that human males were rare and important, that she had trained for years to win a ritual trial, to claim a mate. Jay didn't like the sound of it. He didn't want to be claimed. He wanted answers, escape, and freedom. He watched Cora closely, studying her movements, the alien tech she used, the guards that came and went. He pretended to obey, to listen, to accept. But every moment, he was thinking, planning if he could reach the communication tower. Maybe he could send a message. Maybe someone would come. But one night, as he crept toward the back of the camp, he heard something, a whisper in the dark, a voice. Jay. He turned, heart pounding. It was Zelka, wounded, half hidden in the trees, watching him with glowing eyes. She hadn't given up. She was waiting, watching, and planning something. Now Jay was caught in the middle. Two alien Beastwomen, both dangerous, both powerful, and both willing to fight and maybe kill for him. The worst part? He didn't know why, and he had a feeling this was just the beginning. J stood at the edge of the alien cage, staring at the glowing jungle beyond the bars. His hands gripped the bone-like rods, his mind racing with one question: why him? He had seen war before on Earth, during the Mars Rebellion, and even near the Titan border. But this was something else. He was not in a war zone, not anymore. He was in the middle of a twisted ritual, a game where he was the prize, and both players were monsters with hearts. Cora walked into the room again, her heavy steps making the ground vibrate. She carried food, strange glowing fruit, and meat that still steamed. Without a word, she placed the tray inside the cage and sat down in front of him, just outside the bars. "Eat," she said. Jay didn't move. He just looked at her, eyes calm but sharp. "You think you own me," he said, his voice low. "But I'm not a pet." Cora's lips curled into a grin. Half pride, half something softer. "You are not pet," she replied. "You are choice, honor, power." Jay raised an eyebrow. "Power?" She nodded. "You're kind humans. Only few remain in this part of space. Your blood is pure," she added, tapping her chest. "Strong, rare." Jay backed away slowly. So that was it. He wasn't just interesting. He was valuable genetically, politically, maybe even spiritually. They didn't just want him as a mate. They wanted him as a symbol. Cora stood, her muscles tense like a wild animal ready to fight. "But I do not just want power," she said quietly. "I want choice. I chose you." Jay sat in silence, watching her as she walked away. He didn't know what was worse, being hunted or being wanted. That night, Jay heard voices again. Outside the camp, deep in the jungle, someone was watching. He pressed his ear against the bars and listened. A whisper, then silence. Suddenly, an explosion. The entire camp shook. Alarms blared in strange alien tones. Cora rushed into the cage room, eyes blazing with fury. "She comes," she growled, pulling out a long spear made of bone and crystal. Jay knew exactly who she was, Zelka. She had returned, and this time she wasn't coming quietly. The next moments were chaos. Flames lit the sky as Zelka crashed through the outer wall, leaping from the trees like a shadow with teeth. Her roar shook the leaves off the trees. She grabbed two guards, tossing them aside like toys, and then her eyes locked on Jay. But Cora stepped between them. "No," she said, voice sharp like lightning. "He is mine." Zelka bared her teeth. "I let you live last time," she growled. "I won't again." They charged, two beasts, one red with rage, one green with pride. Their fight was faster this time, no slow steps. No honor, just fury. Jay ducked as a spear flew past his cage, slicing through a wall like paper. He needed to get out. Now he looked at the back of the cage, noticed the panel Cora used before. With shaking hands, he pulled a bone shard from the food tray and jammed it into the lock. The panel sparked, and with a hiss, the cage door opened. Jay ran not toward freedom, but toward the weapons rack. If they were going to kill each other over him, he needed to stop it. He didn't know how, but he couldn't just watch. He grabbed his shot baton and shouted, "Enough!" Both women turned, snarling, blood dripping from their faces. Jay pointed the weapon at both, confused and angry. "This isn't about me anymore," he said. "This is about you two and your pride. You don't love me. You don't even know me." Silence followed. Then, slowly, both lowered their weapons. But the fire in their eyes didn't fade. Zelka stepped closer, her chest heaving. "I will not stop," she said. "I will take you." Cora grabbed Jay's arm and pulled him behind her. "He stays with me," she growled. "I earned him." Jay looked from one to the other. "I'm not a trophy," he said. "I don't belong to anyone." But neither of them listened. They each grabbed one of his arms and vanished into the jungle, together, dragging him away. When Jay opened his eyes again, he was in a new place, a cave glowing with crystals. Chains made of silver held him to the wall, but softly, like they didn't want to hurt him. Zelka sat on one side, Cora on the other, and they said in one voice, "You must choose. or we will destroy each other." Jay stared at them, stunned. This was no longer a fight. It was a test, and the next move was his. Jay didn't sleep that night. He sat in the middle of a glowing cave, hands resting in his lap and chains loosely around his wrists. The two alien beastwomen sat across from each other. Silent but deadly, Cora stared at Zelka with cold focus. Her body still bruised from the last fight. Zelka stared back like a wild flame, wounded, but not broken. Neither of them spoke, neither blinked. They were waiting for him. Jay knew it was a trap. Not for escape, but for the heart. They wanted him to choose, but how could he? He didn't understand their world, their rules, or why they fought so hard for someone like him. He stood slowly, the chains clinking softly. "I'm not choosing anyone tonight," he said quietly. "Then we fight," Cora said. Her voice low like thunder. Zelka nodded once, her eyes glowing brighter. "It is the way of our kind," she whispered. "Only battle decides truth." Jay raised his voice. "You'll tear each other apart." But they were already standing, weapons drawn, muscles tensed. The silence before the storm was heavier than anything he had felt before. Suddenly, they clashed. This was not like the first fight. There was no noise from the jungle, no audience, no guards, just two titans fighting. In the deep belly of the planet, like the world itself was holding its breath. Cora fought with sharp precision, her spear dancing like lightning. Zelka moved like an animal, using claws, teeth, and pure rage. Jay watched, heart pounding, knowing he couldn't stop them now. They had crossed a line this wasn't about winning a mate anymore. It was personal. The ground shook with every strike. Crystals cracked from the force of their blows. Zelka roared and slammed Cora into the wall. Cora twisted free and spun her spear across Zelka's leg, making her stumble. Blood thick and glowing dripped to the floor. Jay saw it clearly now. Both of them were breaking. Not just their bodies, but their hearts. Their eyes weren't full of hate. They were full of pain. They didn't want to fight. They were forced to. By a culture, by a ritual, by something older than love. Jay couldn't watch anymore. He grabbed a loose shard of crystal and slammed it into the control panel behind him. The cave lights flickered. The chain snapped open. He ran between them, holding out his arms. "Stop," he shouted. "Look at yourselves." Cora froze, blood dripping from her arm. Zelka panted heavily, her claws shaking. "You're dying," Jay said, his voice breaking. "Not because of me, but because you were told to." A pause. Then Zelka dropped her claws. Cora let her spear fall. For the first time they both looked at each other, not as enemies, but as survivors. But it didn't last. A loud boom echoed through the cave. Strange symbols lit up along the walls. A robotic voice spoke in an ancient alien tongue. Jay turned around and saw them council drones, floating machines covered in red. Lights and metal tendrils. A voice crackled through the air in English. "Unauthorized bonding detected. Protocol breach. Elimination sequence activated." Cora and Zelka stood back to back, weapons drawn again, but this time not at each other. Jay ducked as a plasma blaster threw a crystal pillar. The drones were here to erase them all. Zelka grabbed Jay and pulled him behind a rock. "They don't care who you choose," she said. "They only care that we broke the rules." Cora threw a spear, knocking one drone out of the sky. "We have to run," she said. Now, Jay's legs moved. On instinct, the trio raced through hidden tunnels, chased by energy blasts and alarms. Behind them, the cave collapsed, and the flames swallowed everything. They didn't stop until they reached the edge of a deep canyon. Wind howled around them, the sky turning dark red again. Far below, old machines and ruins lit up like stars in the deep. Jay looked at both of them, Zelka, wild and scarred, Cora, fierce and steady. They looked at him too tired, bleeding, but alive. He knew now. This wasn't just a love story, it was a rebellion. And next time, they wouldn't be fighting each other, they'd be fighting the system. Jay opened his eyes and saw stars. Not in the sky, but inside the walls. They glowed like memories trapped in crystal, flickering softly. He was in a new place, clean, quiet, and cold. No jungle, no blood, no chains, just silence, and a question, what now? A soft hum vibrated through the floor. He sat up slowly, feeling weak but alert. He was wearing fresh clothes, simple, white, and loose. His wounds were gone, and his skin felt different, like something had touched his DNA. Then the door opened. Two figures entered, tall and glowing with golden robes. Their faces were hidden behind silver masks. They didn't walk, they floated. "Human," one of them said, its voice echoing from inside the mask. "You are summoned." Jay followed them through long halls filled with lights and alien carvings. The air smelled like metal and flowers, a strange but peaceful mix. He passed other chambers, all empty, like this place was waiting only for him. At last, they reached a massive round room. A platform in the center hovered over a blue pit of light, and standing on either side were Cora and Zelka, dressed in ceremonial armor. No blood, no dirt, no rage, just quiet tension. A voice rang out from above, calm, but full of power. "You have broken the ritual laws," it said, "but your connection is unexpected." Jay looked up and saw the High Council, floating in thrones made of light. They looked like ancient spirits wrapped in machines, neither alive nor fully dead, alien leaders from thousands of years ago, still controlling everything. "You must now make your choice," the voice continued. "Between the two champions who have claimed you, only one may continue the bond. If you refuse, both will be erased." Jay's chest tightened. "This is insane," he said. "They're not just warriors, they're people. They didn't ask for this." The council didn't respond. Only the lights on the walls pulsed, waiting for his answer. Then one of the masked guides stepped forward. "There is another way," he said. "You may share a ritual night with each warrior in the sacred temple. At dawn, the bond will speak." Jay didn't understand. "What does that mean, the bond will speak?" "You will feel it," the guide said. "If you listen." Cora stepped forward first, her eyes steady. "Come," she said, holding out her hand. Jay hesitated, then followed. The temple she brought him to was high in the clouds. Soft music echoed in the air, and the walls shimmered with moving stars. Cora said little, but her actions spoke louder. She treated him with care, helped him heal, showed him her scars. She told stories of her training, of how she was raised to fight, but never taught how to feel. They sat close in silence, no touch, no demand, just quiet understanding. And when the night passed, Jay felt something. A bond not of ownership, but of protection. The next day, Zelka came for him. She took him into the wilds deep into the alien forest. They sat by firelight, and she told him of freedom, rebellion, and dreams she couldn't explain. Zelka laughed, cried, shouted, and whispered all in one night. She showed him chaos but also honesty. With her, he didn't feel safe, but he felt real. She didn't try to comfort him, she challenged him, and somewhere in that wild storm, Jay saw something broken and beautiful, something worth saving. At dawn, Jay stood again in the council chamber. Both warriors stood beside him, and once more, the voice echoed, "The time has come. Who do you choose?" Jay looked at Cora, her strength, her silence, her loyalty, then at Zelka, her fire, her pain, her heart. He opened his mouth to speak, but the lights around them suddenly flashed red. The bond had spoken. A surge of energy flowed between them. Not from Jay to one of them, but from both of them to each other. The bond had grown between the rivals. Jay felt it like thunder in his chest. The council whispered in confusion. "This is not the way," they said. "This bond was not designed." Jay stepped forward. "Maybe you designed the ritual," he said, "but you didn't design love." Alarms began to sound. The walls cracked with pressure. The ancient system was breaking. Jay grabbed Cora and Zelka by the hands. "We're leaving," he said. Zelka grinned. Cora nodded. The three ran as the council chamber began to collapse. This time, there would be no test, no rules, no cage, only choice. Their choice. The door opened, not with a hiss or a clang, but with a breath. Cool air rushed into the chamber as ancient lights flickered awake. Jay stepped inside slowly, torch in one hand. Cora and Zelka close behind him. This place was older than the jungle, older than the council. A tomb of secrets buried beneath the very ground that forced them to fight. No one had walked here for centuries. The walls were covered in dust and vines, but underneath, metallic carvings pulsed with weak light. It didn't look like alien tech, it looked familiar. Jay stopped in front of a cracked screen built into the wall. He wiped it with his sleeve, and a soft blue glow came to life. Lines of code appeared, Earth characters, not alien symbols, English. He stared in disbelief. "What is this place?" Zelka asked, looking around with sharp eyes. Cora reached out and touched one of the carvings. "This is not part of our world," she said quietly. "This is something else." Jay tapped the console, and an old video began to play. The screen showed a human male, in a white lab coat, standing in a steel room. Behind him, 2 large glass chambers held early prototypes of what looked like Cora and Zelka. Jay felt the breath leave his lungs. The man on screen spoke, his voice tired but proud. "Project Hybrid Protocol Cycle 12, he said. "We have merged human DNA with enhanced alien genetics to create the perfect adaptive species. They are designed to bond, to fight, to choose a human host. They will imprint based on emotional conflict." Jay stepped back, his heart racing. "This isn't a ritual," he whispered. "It's an experiment." Zelka growled low in her throat. "So we were created to compete." Cora lowered her head, her fists clenched. "Not for love," she said, "but for testing." The screen continued. A second human entered the frame, arguing with the first. "They're not weapons," she shouted. "They're becoming aware, they feel, they care. This project needs to be shut down." Jay pressed pause. He turned to Cora and Zelka. "You were never meant to be warriors or lovers," he said. "You were meant to be proof. Proof that humans could control something stronger." Silence filled the chamber. For the first time, neither woman looked angry. They looked broken. Cora sank to the ground, her voice a whisper. "All our lives we thought we earned our strength." Zelka sat beside her, eyes burning with grief. "But we were just designed." Jay knelt between them. "No," he said softly. "You made your own choices. You fought the system. You protected me. You refused to be tools." Suddenly, the screen glitched again, and a new message appeared. It was marked as Classified Earth Return Protocol. Jay opened the file. The text scrolled fast, but one line stopped him cold. "Subject J001, final human control candidate successfully abducted from Earth orbit. Failsafe implant active subject. Unaware." His name, his face. Jay was not a random crash survivor. He was part of the project. Cora stood, her eyes wide. "They chose you too." Zelka clenched her jaw. "You're not just the prize, Jay," she said. "You're the trigger." Jay staggered backward. His crash wasn't an accident. His presence activated the final phase of the hybrid protocol. Suddenly, the room began to shake. An old AI voice filled the chamber. "Memory vault accessed. System override initiated. Council protocol. Eliminate subjects." A hidden panel opened in the wall, revealing a secret exit. Jay looked at both of them. "We're not just escaping now," he said. "We're ending this." Cora grabbed the crystal blade. Zelka armed herself with a stolen rifle, and Jay downloaded every file he could, every truth he could carry, as the temple collapsed behind them. Jay didn't look back. He had come to this planet lost, but now he knew why he was here. He was the final piece in a lie built over centuries, and he wasn't going to let it stand. The truth had been buried, but now it was awake, and it was angry. The jungle was on fire. Trees burned with green flames. Vines snapped under the weight of falling drones. Jay ran through the smoke, sweat pouring down his face, lungs aching. Cora and Zelka flanked him, Beastwomen no longer at war with each other. Now, they fought for one goal, to survive. Behind them, the ancient temple crumbled into the dirt. The Council AI had unleashed its guardians machine hunters built to erase every trace of the hybrid project. Jay had triggered it by unlocking the truth. Now the entire planet was trying to kill them. They didn't stop to rest, didn't talk, didn't argue. Every step was survival, every breath borrowed. But Jay knew one thing clearly: this was his fault. Not because he crashed here, but because he was meant to. His DNA, his presence, even his emotions had been designed to activate the final protocol. He wasn't just caught in the system. He was the system's final piece. They reached a cliff edge, overlooking a dead canyon filled with broken ships and alien debris. Zelka pointed to the far side. "There," she said. "That's where the old launch base is, before the Council locked this world down." Jay nodded. "That's our way out." Cora scanned the sky with sharp eyes. "We must move fast. The machines fly." They descended into the wreck field, stepping over the skeletons of past failures. Twisted steel, cracked glass, burned armor, all reminders that others had tried to escape and failed. But Jay carried something they didn't: the drive. Inside it, files, recordings, maps, even the original shutdown code for the hybrid system. He didn't just want freedom anymore. He wanted justice. They reached the launch base by nightfall. It was half buried under vines and dust. A single ship rested at its center, old, Earth-made, its body cracked but its core intact. Jay placed his hand on the control panel. Nothing happened. He tried again, pressing deeper. Still silent. Then a voice, cold, robotic, filled the room. "Biometric match detected. Failsafe implant verified. Awaiting mate selection to activate flight protocol." Cora and Zelka stepped back. Stunned, Zelka growled, "Even here, the system forces your hand." Jay clenched his fists. "Not this time." He pulled out the memory drive, slammed it into the ship's core slot. Code streamed across the screen, then error messages, then silence. Cora looked at him. "If you choose one, the ship will fly." Zelka crossed her arms. "If you don't, it stays grounded." Jay stepped between them. "I'm not choosing who gets to live," he said. "Both of you matter to me." "The ship's I repeated. "Mate must be confirmed, please." "Designate companion." Jay stared at the screen, then opened the shutdown code he'd found. There was one final command: override genetic lock. But it required 2 subjects with activated bonding markers. Jay turned to them. "You bonded with me, but you also bonded with each other. Don't you see?" The system didn't expect that. Cora stepped closer, her hand brushing Zelka's. Zelka didn't pull away. Jay took both their hands and pressed them against the panel. The ship's I hesitated. Then the lights turned green. Dual bond verified. Override accepted. System corruption complete. The old AI was dying, and the system that ruled their lives began to fall with it. But just as the engines powered on, a high-pitched shriek pierced the air. A final drone, larger, sleeker, faster, burst through the sky and struck the base with a beam of light. The roof exploded. Fire rained down. Jay was thrown across the floor. Zelka shielded him, taking the brunt of the blast. Cora tackled the drone with bare hands, roaring louder than the engines. The final battle had begun. Steel versus muscle. Instinct versus code. Cora smashed the drone's wing, but it stabbed her side with a burning blade. Zelka leapt in, biting through the drone's core. Even as it cut her arm open, Jay limped toward the ship's controls, shouting into the system, "Flight override now." The ship replied, "Coordinates locked. Launching." With one last pull, Jay dragged both women into the open hatch as the base behind them collapsed. The engines roared, the sky opened, and the stars welcomed them home as they flew. Beyond the clouds, Jay looked at them, bleeding, broken, but alive, and he realized this wasn't just escape. This was rebirth. Behind them, the planet burned, but ahead was Earth, and whatever waited next. The stars were quiet. For the first time in weeks, there was no roar, no chase, no explosion. Only stillness cold, vast, and full of ancient light. Jay sat alone in the ship's observation dome, watching Earth grow larger through the glass. Blue oceans, white clouds, and green continents curved slowly into view. Home, but it didn't feel the same, because he wasn't the same behind him. Cora slept on a medical bed, her sides stitched with glowing nanobots. Zelka lay next to her, her arm in a healing brace, twitching now and then in restless sleep. They had saved him, again and again, fought for him, with him, beside him, but now they were fading. The ship's AI spoke softly. Human subject J. Hybrid bonds weakening. Genetic fusion unstable outside designed environment. Jay's hands tightened on the rail. What does that mean? He asked, his voice hoarse. The AI responded. They were made for the planet. Earth's natural field is breaking the hybrid code. They cannot survive long here. Silence, then an offer. Emergency option available. Transfer. One subject to Earth-compatible structure. Only one may adapt. The other must return to the origin planet. Jay stared at the Earth, his heart aching. Another choice. The final one. He walked back to the medbay. Cora's eyes opened slowly. Zelka's gaze met his without words. They already knew. I won't choose between you. Jay said softly. We didn't come this far to end like this. Cora sat up with a painful grunt. We knew this might happen, she whispered. Zelka leaned back, staring at the ceiling. They built us to fight, she said, not to stay. Jay dropped to his knees between them. I don't care what they built you for, he said. You became more. You chose love, not instinct. He looked at the eye screen. Is there no other way? Silence again, then a faint whisper in the system. An error code, a possibility. Unstable third option detected, the AI said. Fusion of both hybrid subjects into one singular compatible form. Risk, irreversible. Consequence, loss of individual identity, Zelka growled. You mean? One of us dies so the other can live in a shared shell. Cora looked at Jay. If we do this, the bond is no longer ours. Jay shook his head. I won't let either of you be erased. But Zelka stood first, stepping toward the chamber. Then let me do it, she said. I was never meant to live in peace. Cora blocked her. No, it should be me. She said, you are chaos. Jay needs that now more than ever. Jay stood up, heart pounding. No more sacrifices. He said, there's one more option. He turned to the AI. Transfer me instead. Give them my structure, my body. Let them live together. The system paused. Human host match confirmed. Transfer protocol possible. Risk, complete human erasure. Jay looked at them, his fierce protectors, his rivals, his unexpected family. You were both created from my blood, he said. If anyone's going to be the vessel, it should be me. Zelka took his hand. You would do that? Cora placed her hand over his heart. You would give all of yourself for us? Jay nodded. Always. The fusion chamber opened, glowing with white light. Cora and Zelka walked in. Side by side, Jay followed, closing the door behind them. The AI counted down. Transfer in 3, 2, 1. Light consumed them. Data flowed, minds shifted, bonds fused. For a moment, there was silence, then breath, then a single heartbeat. The chamber opened. Standing there was a new being, tall, strong, with glowing skin and wild eyes. Familiar and new Zelra, born of choice, pain, and love. She stepped forward, hands trembling. Jay, she whispered, her voice holding both tones. But Jay was gone. His memory now lived within her. Earth came into view through the glass again, and this time she smiled. I will live, she said, for all three of us, and the stars watched quietly. As a story built on war ended with love, a system made to divide had failed, and the final choice was never really a choice, it was a gift.